So hello everyone, this is KVR TV from far away from the VR headset this time on holidays. I just thought I wanted to weigh in on something that a lot of people are talking about. Since I can't play VR, I might as well make a small opinion or poll if you want, or a small opinion piece. So one of the things that I see has happened quite frequently, and maybe not so strangely recently, is this idea that this question that is VR good for you? Like, is it healthy? Is it good exercise? Is it good for coordination or whatever? And I think it's a very, very interesting question. So the first point of this is sort of how much calories do you spend, because weight and health is largely related to your calorie balance. And on this, I think a lot of people overestimate greatly what VR does. This is not my medical opinion, but it's more a conclusion from what happens if I put a pulse tracker on while I'm doing this, while I'm playing VR. The first thing I notice is that actually your pulse gets up. It gets far higher, of course, than it does if you are lying on the couch. But it's not even close to what you get if you play a team sport or a physical sport. So I think it's easy to overestimate the cardiovascular work that you have to do to play VR, and part of that is, I think, quite simply because you're not moving your body around that much. You're moving it around, but it's in a small space. So I think if you want to burn calories in this fashion, I think it's probably much better to go to a class at a gym, for instance. But one thing that is interesting though is, in these questions you always have to ask yourself, so what activity are you replacing by playing VR? And if the alternative was that you sat down by your computer and maybe had snacks and played, then of course VR will be better for your health, it will be better for your calorie balance, and you are probably having a light exercise from it. So in this sense, I think it's good. So whether it's like an exercise for you will depend on what you are replacing by playing VR, and also how long you play it. If you can sustain VR activity for maybe 2 hours and you generally play an intense VR game, of course you're going to burn some calories. And especially if you don't eat during that time, the snacks that you would normally eat, for instance, then it would be a good thing to do, a good hobby. Another thing that's interesting that I think I wasn't really thinking about when I started this is, of course, that people actually hurt themselves while they play VR, and this became sort of evident in the Echo VR community, where people would hit their teeth out on occasion, or someone broke their finger because they were hitting their furniture. So the health impact of VR in this sense has sort of been negative, and although sometimes I joke when someone hits something that it's an achievement unlocked in Echo VR, I think the general idea here is that as long as you play it safe, it will not be bad for your health to play it in this way. But you can fall over, you can hit yourself, you can hit your extremities, and maybe the new Oculus controllers as well don't have the tracking ring on the outside, so your fingers are more exposed, and maybe we'll see more damage from that. So if you do play it safe, in this sense at least, you don't have any negative effects there, as long as you don't fall over. So the last thing is a little bit about coordination and so on, and I do think this is interesting. There was someone that commented in the Echo community that they felt like they got better at playing games like Frisbee, for instance, after being playing VR all winter, and I do kind of see that. It could maybe be that you're practicing your hand-eye coordination in VR, and I do think that's kind of cool. Final thing that I have noticed, and that I personally find quite interesting, is that every now and then, if I've been going through some really stressful period, I'm going to have a bit of neck pain, and it sort of comes at the end of those periods where I can finally relax a little bit again. And what I noticed with VR is that it has sort of the same effect on that neck pain as having a run has for me, which is that I think what happens is it gets better, and what I think happens is basically that I warm up my body. I do some light exercise. It's not so heavy that it strains those particular muscles, for instance, but it does warm me up a little bit, and that kind of alleviates the pain. So one of the things that I do when I have this sort of stress-induced neck and head pain stuff is that I do go for a light run. Nothing like super intense, and definitely not like interval training, but something slightly less intense, like a long, slow run. And I get the same effect from VR, and I think that is interesting. It might be something that's worthwhile to try if you have muscle aches, for instance, if you have this kind of stress-induced headaches. So maybe it is something to think about. And I also heard some other people that sort of had a testimony that said that, yeah, they had the same problem with like pains and aches. So they get better by playing VR. So yeah, is VR good for you? I don't think it's bad for you. I think it's not like really intense exercise, even though you do get sweaty. I think some of that has a lot to do with the heat from the headset and the fact that you have this thing on your face. But it is a light exercise, as long as you play it safe. And I do think it might actually be that there are unexpected benefits from this light exercise for things like neck problems, because you warm up a little bit and have light exercise. But it's going to come down to what you replace with your VR activity. If you replace your gym class with VR, maybe not if it was a good gym class. But all these things are complicated questions, and it's going to come down a lot to you. Some people also ask about the eyes and so on. I don't think it's going to be a problem, at least as long as you're old enough and your vision has fully developed, as per the recommendation that you don't play VR at a very, very young age. So just check that out. Okay, so from this beautiful part of southern Portugal, I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope this was interesting. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to send them to me, and if you see this on YouTube, just drop a line down below. Alright, see ya!